Hey guys, welcome to Oddly Sunday for February 14th. This is the show where we kick back and relax and talk about some of the stories that have gone up on the Oddly Studios website. Today we have 3 great stories for you. So if you want to follow along, you can go to oddlystudios.com, and if you just click through to the news tab, top story of the day, Microsoft at Advertising Week. Advertising Week is something that has been happening just since last year in Toronto. Now, perhaps Toronto isn't so well known for its Advertising Week yet, but I have to say I was extremely impressed with the way that this year's event was run. I've been to Advertising Week in New York before, and it's unbelievable. Toronto's got a little ways to go to catch up to that yet, but definitely the seed is there of something really good. In particular, one of the things that I was happy about was I was able to catch up with Jason Daly. Jason works at Microsoft. Now, at Oddly, we've worked with Microsoft a few times now in creating advertising and putting it up through their network. They're always very good to work with, and Jason does a great job at presenting his company. This is the second time that I've seen him present. The first time he presented at Next Media, and he did a great job on a panel there. This time around he was presenting himself, and he did a particularly great job with his presentation of Microsoft Surface. If you don't know Microsoft Surface, this is basically it's an interactive surface that allows you to actually touch the surface, much like an iPhone or an iPhone Surface, but it can do a lot more than that. And I was able to actually capture a little bit of video of that. Let's take a look. Now that is really cool. That's what really caught my attention. Jason sits his phone down on the surface of the Surface, and it recognizes it right away, and it knows who it is, and knows whose phone it is, and now he can actually start interacting with it in a much larger interface here. So look what he does next. He's actually able to download a ringtone directly onto the device. Now, I think that's pretty cool. What the Surface is enabling here is that the device, the portable device, becomes really just a key to a much larger interface of things that you can do when you're in that environment. And yet it's going to allow you to bring a piece of content with you when you leave that environment. Very, very cool stuff. Now, I had a chance to chat a little bit with Jason, and you can see the story on the site. I won't go into it in too great of detail, but one of the things that I was particularly interested in asking him about was the social community on Xbox Live. And it seemed to me that there's some pretty well-established players already in the social media space, including like Facebook and Twitter and so forth. And anytime that you want to get a foothold in an industry that has very well-established players already, one of the things you can do is look for a niche and then, fill that need. And it's usually kind of an overlooked area. Gamers are very much a niche, and yet there is a huge number of gamers. What Xbox is doing is setting up social media for gamers that they're going to be very familiar with. And it seemed to me that if they're able to get a good foothold with the gamer market, which, granted, still skews a bit young, but is, growing up and maturing, the people would carry that social network forward. And so if you jump on his site, you're going to be able to see Jason's response when I asked him about that. It's a very, very interesting article. So that is the top story on the site. And I'd like to just mention another story that I have up on the data site. Now, for those of you that don't know, I'm actually on the board of the Digital Arts and Technology Association here in Toronto. Now, this is a group that works hard to try and promote the industry and to promote opportunities for people working in the industry. And recently we had some very, very good news from the OMDC, which is the Ontario Media Development Corporation. And so the story that you'll find on the site here is mentioning that the Ontario Digital Games Business Incubator Network is going to become a reality. So essentially, through the Creative Cluster Partnership Fund, the OMDC is providing $295,000 to Data and its partners to set up a network of business incubators across Ontario to promote the video games industry. Now, this is really exciting to me because, number one, I love video games. Anybody who's been around Oddly Studios knows that. Everything from casual games to complex games and console games, the interfaces that are made for them using Scaleform and other technologies and OpenGL. Love all of that stuff. To me, games afford the opportunity to provide more user engagement than almost any other way of drawing in a user and making them part of your brand or your message or even just entertaining them in some way. So this is huge. Now, earlier in the year, I was at an event called Gamer Camp. This is kind of a grassroots movement. You found a lot of indie game studios there. So you can see a lot more details about how the Business Incubator Network is going to work. But I've also posted up some footage that I got of a couple who run a company called MetaNet Software. Now, this is a company that is making video games independently and has had a pretty good degree of success. They've been doing this for quite a while. Now, I first came across Regan Burns, who is one of the programmers for MetaNet, maybe back 2004, I think, and he was presenting his work on the game N, talking about physics and code and so forth, and that was at the FITC event that year. Awesome. I've actually used those tutorials a few times since then. Mare Shepherd was new to me. I hadn't heard her speak before, but these two did a fantastic presentation of the rock band style of video game development. Maybe we can just play a couple of minutes of the clip. Okay, apologize for the shakiness. That's basically just me sitting in the audience and holding the camera. Now my arm got tired. But do give that clip a look. Do go to the data site. It's datato.ca. It's